everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Sheck. You know, we've spent the last 3 years highlighting the Pakistan tech startup ecosystem and all the components that go with that. But once in a while, we find something really interesting. And today, I've identified somebody who I feel is an epitome of what Pakistan is, will be, and continue to grow toward. And that, I'd like to invite Mr. Nadeem Hussain onto the show. Nadeem, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, and it's nice to have you here. So let me set a little context for the audience. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting Nadeem recently at a TCF gala. And what really took me aback was he was the guest speaker, and I wanted him to come and share his story, which I found very inspiring. And I think will help a lot of those in Pakistan and outside of Pakistan understand what good positive energy does for our country. And with that, Nadeem, please tell everybody a little bit about your story and who you are.
Thank you once again for having me today. And of course, it was pleasure meeting you in Houston. I've just recently come to the US for my PhD here in Boston. And my story is that I was an out of school child once. And then, I was not in school till the age of 8. And then TCF opened up a school in our Kachi Abadi called Ibrahim Goat. That's how I started my school. And during my school, I had to work in different factories as a child labor. Then I graduated school from TCF, went on for my intermediate in DJ Science College in Karachi, and then I did my undergrad from IBA. And since then, I've been working with the World Bank, and recently I've come to the US for my PhD. And during my undergrad, once I was in college, I realized that kids from the marginalized areas, from the rural villages, from urban slums, what we call them Kachi Abadis, back in Pakistan, they are not really able to make into the top tier undergrad programs in the country. So that's where my passion lies. And I started helping those kids with their SAT preparations, with their admission essays, the entire application process, going to the universities and the colleges, requesting them for financial aid and scholarship for these kids. And Alhamdulillah, since 2013, when we started this program called TCF Alumni Development Program, more than 2,000 students, TCF school alumni, have made it to Pakistan's top tier undergrad programs.
That is fantastic. Very, very inspiring, Nadeem. And as I heard you that evening, I was very, very encouraged by what you and TCF have been able to achieve. My next question comes around the fact, Nadeem, you have now chosen a very noble way to leverage what you've received working with the World Bank. Can you talk a little bit about what you're working on and how that could potentially impact Pakistan?
Yeah, with my work with the World Bank, I've been working on human capital, on education, and on institutional review in Pakistan. And that's what has led me to do my PhD in public policy. And I feel, with my experience, with my personal experience, living in extreme poverty, and then, kind of breaking that poverty trap for my family and for my community, and then, the value that I feel education gives you. All of that led me to work with the World Bank and to work in the public service, and to acquire education that can help me do better in the field that I feel is very important when it comes to service and when it comes to improving lives of people you dearly care about. And most of my work, with TCF as a volunteer and with the World Bank in my professional capacity, it revolves around around community building, around education, and how can people realize their true economic and academic potential. So, yeah.
No, that's really, really noble and an excellent way to kind of contribute and give back to the community, which we can always use more of, right? We know that the circumstances in Pakistan are what they are. With that, I also wanted to ask you a question around this. So I find you to be exceptionally gifted and bright, and there's probably a lot of kids, who maybe run middle of the stack. So, what do you see as a intermediary or a step that allows them to flourish also, right? Because not everybody's going to have the abilities you have. What do you envision that for, or to be like in Pakistan?
Yeah, thank you for. I think you're very kind. So I feel I mean there is a lot of potential in the young kids in Pakistan, but they lack opportunities in so
Mm,
many ways. And for them, like I've been working with the people who are between the age of 15 to 21 since 2013 and even before. So
right.
what I've seen, some of the kids, like the top 10-15%, they have the potential to go to really top colleges in Pakistan and even other parts of the world as well. But
Sure.
then there are roughly around 60-70% who are not that good academically because of the socio-economic background they come from, and they did not have that kind of uh, guidance and support from the families and at their homes. So they do well in whatever they do. I mean, without a college degree, because they have good schooling, and that's what TCF provides them, and that's what TCF has changed so many lives. So till they have graduated from their school system about 55,000 students, and most of them are now doing way better than what their previous generation used to do, both in terms of economic gains and their financial health, but also in terms of their responsibility towards society as a citizen. And I think that is very important. That is very much needed in Pakistan. The civic responsibility and to be really part of the community that you live in, and I think that basic education has done with them. So they do well what they do after school as compared to the ones who did not have the opportunity to go to schools, because in the same community where TCF built schools, some students, I mean, some kids end up going to school, but there are still kids who are not really able to go to schools because of so many reasons. But when you
Sure.
compare them with the ones who went to school and the ones who, as I said, were not able to go to school, there is a huge difference in terms of decisions that they make in lives, in terms of what they earn, in terms of their response towards the country, the nation, and the community that they live in.
Understood. No, that makes sense. So, as you know, Nadeem, we try to keep Tech Sheck fairly tight in terms of time. So I'm going to come up on my last question here, which is really something I'd like you to weigh in on, because even for me personally, it's a very important task. How do we enable more, or how do we help you beyond just the support of TCF and what their mission is? How do we help people like yourself propagate, right? Because what I'm seeing that in Pakistan, if we can have 1,000 Nadeem Hussains, then that spillover effect happens, right? And how do you empower people to continue growing? What do you envision as that?
Thank you so much for this question, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that you brought me on your platform. And now, whoever is going to listen this, now that's my request. That's a very humble request.
Sure.
I request the people who genuinely want to help Pakistan in one way or the other, that they provide intellectual and kind of mentorship support to the young people. I mean,
Mm,
it's fine that you give money in charity, whatever amount that you can give. That's absolutely needed, because that's how the organizations in Pakistan, like TCF, like SIUT, and the other organizations, they are run. But like, if you really want to see real difference in 10 years time, or perhaps
Yes.
in 15 years time,
Right.
you just, I mean, through organizations like TCF and even other organizations, you can pick like 2-3 people, in their grade 9 or grade 10, and there are high potential individuals in those communities. People are way smarter than what I am, and then you guide them, over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 years maybe, and then bring them to that level where they can then take off and do great things for the country. So I think intellectual support on individual basis, I mean one-to-one interaction with the youth, especially people who are in their late teens, early 20s, would help a lot. So people like you and people who are in your audience, I think they are very well positioned to do that. If they can, just take out time, perhaps 10-15 minutes a week or a month, and just check on people that they can have as mentees. I like 200% agree with what you said, that we can have like 1,000 such kids all around the country in just a very short span of time, and you can see those people then then doing the effect that can reach out to multiple peoples.
Fair enough. So my last question around that, and that's something I want to make sure we relay to the audience, is what you're talking about makes absolute sense. But here's the reality. Someone like me sitting in the United States is going to be sufficiently challenged to figure out how to connect to that mentee, right? Is TCF facilitating any type of activity that allows people like me to say, I will dedicate an hour or two a month to the students that you feel want to develop? Is there anything like that happening?
Yes, there is. I mean, that is for the people who are living in Pakistan. So that is an in-person, kind of a mentorship program. They call it a
Sure.
Rehbar program. Rehbar is an Urdu word, means mentor, a guide.
Sure. Sure.
But with this, I mean, even with the organizations like TCF, if people like you, like if 5-10 people say that we want to create a digital platform where we can connect with our mentees, and I can have, like, for instance, I say that I can have 3 mentees at the same time, and I want these mentees to be from, let's say, Shikarpur in Sindh, let's say Dera Bukti in Balochistan, and
Yes.
let's say Janubi Waziristan in KP. And this. I mean, I want to have diverse mentees, three
Sure.
different, distinct ethnic identities and distinct geographical location mentees. So I'm sure TCF would be more than willing to create a platform. I mean, a digital platform. We are living in kind of a midst or a post pandemic era, and now with all that digital advancement in Pakistan, they have 4G. They are upgrading it to 5G. So connectivity is not really an issue these days. It was definitely an issue 20 years or 15 years back, but now I think if people come forward and create such a platform, then it would perhaps be be easier. I mean, it can absolutely be done. They already have a program in place, but that is a program for people
In
who can
person.
physically go and visit schools, and that's at a school level, and kids are very young. They are 12, 11. They are not that mature. So a program that can take kids who are in their late teens or early 20s, and it's digital. People can access, now the smartphones are not even very expensive in Pakistan. To 2,000 or 3,000 rupees, which is roughly like 20-30 dollars in the US. You can get a smartphone. So that won't be an issue on either side. I think it would be more of people who are just as you said, people who are sitting in the US or in other parts of the world and who want to be mentors and train people with them. I think that would be a more challenge. There is no dearth of mentees in Pakistan. There's so many people. I mean, we have a huge youth bulge in the country.
No doubt. No doubt. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's something that we can discuss further offline. So I like the idea where you're going with that. So with that, as you've seen, Nadeem, we try to keep this short and sweet. I'd like to first very much thank you for taking some time out. I know you're very busy in your daily life, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much for coming, and I really appreciate and I'm very motivated by your mission.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for making this possible, and I'm glad that you got it done within a week's time. So very kind of you, and I'm impressed with the energy that you take, and I think you are helping Pakistan in your own way. So my respect for that. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. And to our audience, as you can see, TechSheck is about trying to purvey what's positive in Pakistan. I know this story doesn't necessarily fit the line of the tech ecosystem, but I think it's a very important mission which continues to enable the feedstock for our tech industry, which is enabling and engaging bright young people. So with that, I thank you all very much for, again, being part of my audience. Please like, share, and subscribe. Continue to spread the love about TechSheck, and I bid you all Allah Hafiz.